Hello, welcome or welcome back to Reads of an Apple. My name is Stacy and I'm here to start week 23 of 2023. And happy Monday. Typically, if you are new here, typically I start my weekly vlogs on the weekends, but I gotta be honest, I did not have a good weekend. Because booktube and just talking about, I've been talking and thinking about my birthday more than normal, and I pretty much had an emotional breakdown this weekend. I pretty much cried for about a day and a half straight. Yeah, just I guess just thinking about how much life has changed and really missing my mom, and then at some point I'm sure it was just my body releasing emotions that I've been holding in for quite a while. So I did not film when I was going to last night, and then after the Nuggets game I was just like, I'm tired, and so I just went to bed. So we're just gonna move on because I have quite a few things to chat with you about. So let's do the quest calendar first, get that out of the way. We have 2 days to catch up on. So if you are new here, I have been playing the quest calendar. This is created by Sundial Games, which is a Colorado-based company, which is fun. This is a daily calendar with Saturdays and Sundays combined that is a game that you play based off tabletop role-playing games that are D20 based, like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, D20 Modern. You probably know what I'm talking about. The theme, as you can see, is the Voidspark Chronicle, which is sci-fi space opera themed. So think Star Wars, Star Trek, Firefly, Battlestar Galactica. You know what I'm talking about. So there is that. Now, I do play with the Hero Companion book. I highly recommend it if you do join in on the next calendar, or if you start this one, even if you're late. It is super great. They have made some changes from 2022 to 2023, and I love them. One of the things is that we are now in a landscape layout. If you play one of their pre-made characters, it has all of the skills and basics already leveled up for you, which is super nice. What's also new this year is for the equipment and different types of upgrades and stuff, they are reusable stickers, which is super fun. This also has our ship. So here's the ship that we are flying and working on. This is the Karnak. And then here is our character. So I have been playing as Zarilla Tur. She is an Urzen and her class is Mystic. So she's kind of the Force Jedi-ish type user. So let us move forward here. I'll give you a brief rundown of the calendar and then we'll go ahead and play the days. So this one's a little funky because this was us getting treasure, but typically instead of these three things, there will be some script style font, and that will be the story that we are playing at, and then everything that's in block font in this little box is the mechanics of how we are going to play through that day's story. So like I said, Saturdays and Sundays are combined, and everything we need to know to play that page is on the back of the previous day page, so we don't get spoiled. So let's just get into it and see. So we have stumbled across the derelict lab. We're trying to find some information and see if we can try to rescue someone who is friends with some scientists who were captured by these evil rebel in a bad way people. So we are exploring this derelict scientist space station lab type thing. Okay, so you enter a wrecked lab. The scientists back on the ship report to you that this was their main room where they worked with Andy many years ago. Andy was the person that was kidnapped. So, search for clues, which is an intellect roll reminder investigator. So, here is that lab. Let's see if we have any other information on here. It does not look like it. So we do have investigator, which gives us a +2, and our intellect is a +1. So we get a total of +3 to our D20 roll. So I will roll. We will go from there, and that is a 16. So we had a +3, so 19 total. Okay, if the result is 15 or more, broken equipment is scattered across the room. You discover salvageable lab equipment you will be able to sell for 12 credits. Wow, okay. A framed picture of a younger Dr. Latimer and Dr. Serpent celebrating an award they received sits on a desk. A focal point of the room is a large glass container hooked up to various instruments and monitoring equipment. It is big enough to have held a large animal or a small child. A large mural is painted on the wall of the room. It seems out of place compared to the rest of the station, though it helps to break up the unnatural and sterile ambience of the lab. It's a beautiful rendition of the city Vix on the planet Abramia. That city is well known for being nestled within the dense jungle. Perhaps Andy traveled there when she escaped the lab. Interesting. Okay, interesting. So there is that mural. Okay, so this was Saturdays and Sundays. Now there is also an extra mechanic that they added in for 2023 on the weekend page, and that is the Sunday lottery. So as you can see here, this is in this box, and what it is you have the choice when you play this page to roll a d6. And if you roll a 1 or a 2, you lose a little bit of credits. If you roll a 3 or higher, you gain a little bit of credits. So might as well. It's a pretty good chance to gain credits. And that is, I can't see it, 4. Okay, so 4 is gaining 2 credits. So for total, we got 14 credits from this page. So that was Saturday and Sunday. Let's see what today, Monday, brings. Okay, we are leveling up. So this is something different. Congratulations, you gained enough experience to increase your hero's level. So we are now at level 4. I think the max is level 6 that we hit in this game. Yes, so like I mentioned earlier, all of my character skills and things are already transferred over. As you can see, this is a lot bigger, and so all of that will auto be done for us. We just have to basically transfer over our stats and then make any changes where needed. So basic information, we are a mystic, so our health is going to go up by 3, our defense will go up by 1, our damage is going to be changing to a 2d12, it's currently at a 2d10, and we will get 1 more surge per page, or no, just 1 more surge. Yep, and then when you take a rest, it resets. We get a new ability, Mindbreaker, once per page. Make an extra attack and damage roll. Interesting. Okay. And a new ability, Void Flux. Once per page, take half of the damage from a single source, rounded down. Okay, that could be helpful. So also for all heroes, you increase your hero's level to 4. You have 2 points to allocate however you choose to increase any of your hero's traits. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intellect, wisdom, and charisma. Now I have mentioned recently a couple of times that we have kind of been forced by the game to use charisma a lot. So I'm going to apply, you know, I might as well. I'm going to apply both of my 2 points to charisma, so that will take us from a -1 to a +1. So it's now in the positive, and I think that just makes sense because our character has been kind of forced to be more charismatic. A lot of choices that we've been having to make is between being intimidating with strength or persuasive with charisma, and I just am not playing a super intimidating character, so I've been leaning more towards the charisma, and we've had to use it a lot lately. So I think that makes sense to raise that because we've been using it, so it should be getting better, right? So I'm going to say that's where I'm going to apply my 2 points to, and I will get everything transferred and ready to be leveled up for tomorrow. So we're going to end the quest calendar there for today. Now, as for books, I did do some reading this weekend. So the first is after doing my Romanceopoly roll at the end of last week, so I'll link the vlog up there if you want to see it. We got Haunted House for our next Romanceopoly roll, and I really was kind of lost in what, like, I have lots of things that I want to pick up, especially in the earlier this month, but I almost have too many options to mood read with. So I was like, you know what, let's do a let's do a Romanceopoly roll. So this was read a monster romance or something spooky. So I was just kind of looking through, and I remembered that I still have Griffin Undone by Ella Sheridan that I was super excited for when it came out last November, and I just never got to it. And the main hero in this is a griffin shifter. So I was like, hey, that's perfect. So I read this. When I finished it yesterday, so I started it Friday night and I got about 30% in, and then I got to like 60 something percent on Saturday, and then I kind of forced myself to finish it yesterday. When I finished it yesterday, when I filled out my little Google form, I rated it 3.5 stars. However, right now in this today, when I was kind of thinking about it, I think I might drop it down to 3 stars. I really struggled with this book. I think the way that the world is built is super interesting, but I wanted to learn more. So basic premise we have here is this is the first book in her Archive Warriors series. And Arik, A-R-I-K, is our griffin shifter. And we start in the prologue. He's about 100 years old. And I don't know what he's doing. He's just living his life, you know, in their clan of Archive people. And he's getting telepathic mental images from his father, and his father is being killed. Then as he's racing home to where his father and mother are, he gets images of his mother being raped and then murdered as well. And when he arrives, what's interesting is about these types of creatures, when they are beheaded, that's really the only way to kill them is sever their spine, because they do have regenerative powers. So you have to sever their spine, so beheading is the most common. And then once they are beheaded, it takes like a minute-ish, but then their body just turns into ash, and then it like is gone. So by the time he arrives home, both of his parents are in ash, but they have this interesting thing where you build like a funeral pyre, and when you're the person grieving, you like cut your face, and they're like grieving signs. And so he's grieving his parents. His father specifically was like the lead general, head honcho dude under the king of the Archive. And so he had been like raised and really close with the king's son, and his name is Sun, S-U-N. And then there was like a werewolf shifter that his parents kind of like adopted, and his name was Maddox. And Maddox was the person who killed his parents. However, Maddox was able to somehow manipulate and push into Sun's mind that Eric was the one who killed his parents, and then he came after Maddox when Maddox tried to save them. So Eric is at the funeral pyre thing, starting the grieving ceremony type thing for his parents, and Sun and his father, the king, show up and are basically sentencing him to death for killing Maddox and his parents. And then, you know, in that moment, Eric is just so grief-ridden that and betrayed, because Sun was like his closest friend. He considered him a brother. And they wouldn't really listen to him, that it wasn't him. And then he sees Maddox on the other side of the funeral pyre that's burning, and he kind of runs through it to go after Maddox. And now we're in present day for the book, and it's 900 years later, so he is now 1,000 years old, and he has spent his life hunting down Maddox. He's had different situations where they've had run-ins. Maddox just kind of continuously kills the people around him. Eric is also now trying to not only stay away / hunt down Maddox, but also stay away from the Archive warriors, because they're trying to kill him too. And so my heart hurt for a lot of this book, which did not help my emotional well-being this weekend, because he just was betrayed by the people he was closest to at a time when he was the most emotionally traumatized, I guess. But Maddox is now a part of the enemy forces, who are Enigma. It starts with an A, not an E. And Maddox kind of finds him in Nashville, and he finds him in this like jazz bar. And he's drawn to the girl who is playing the piano at this jazz bar, and notices that Maddox is like super into her. So he's thinking about taking her for himself and using her to kind of get to Maddox, that type of situation. She ends up getting attacked by Maddox, and Eric saves her, but not after she has been triggered. So she had a recessive Archive gene, and she was raised in the foster system. Her mother killed herself when she was very young, and she has always kind of felt like she's invisible and people look over her, but music was like her way to connect with the world and to connect with people. And so she's triggered, and she is now an Archive. Now, female Archive don't shift forms, but they have a bunch of like psychic powers, which is interesting. And Eric's Griffin also recognizes her as his mate, but she's incredibly injured. She's going through the change, the triggering of entering into her powers. And so he is kind of forced to reach out to Sun and have him bring one of their like super special healer people to help her transition. And because she's like seizing and her brain's like starting to melt, and it's like this whole thing. So he is planning on using her to kind of start the Archive warriors to recognize that Maddox one, still alive, two, the person actually behind his parents' death, and three, to have them also realize that Enigma is still around after the war thousands of years ago and is like gaining power once again. So he's planning on using her to kind of have these two people take each other out because he's like fully lone wolf in it. And where I really struggled is she really, really had been through a very hard life and didn't feel like anybody wanted her. There were quite a few instances where Eric would say something and she's just like, yeah, why would he want to keep me? Why would he want to keep me around? Nobody ever wants me. And I guess that's a thing, is if the archive women aren't triggered in time, I guess it's very common for them to kill themselves, which is interesting. And that's kind of why she was invisible, is because she was not of either world situation. So I thought, you know, the world setup of the archive and all of that was very interesting. And that's why I ended up giving this 3.5 stars, maybe 3. We'll decide. Where my issue came from is they're supposed to be mates. Of course, you know, she's a virgin because nobody ever really saw her. When people look at her in the human world, it's almost like they can't focus on her because she just doesn't feel like seated in this world, if that makes sense. So people just happen to kind of just look past her a lot. And even if they're having a conversation, it's like they're unable, and they don't realize it, but they're like unable to have direct eye contact with her for a long time. So I don't know. I disliked that she had such low self-esteem, such low self-worth, but that's not the issue that it was. It was that with him struggling against wanting to claim her as a mate, but not being able to stay away, but knowing it will wreck his plans. But what really bothered me about their relationship is that we never actually got conscious awareness from him of how he was hurting her, of how the words that he was saying, like, they were hurtful and they were intentionally hurtful, but there was no like recognition from him of how deeply he was hurting her. And I needed more grovel from him at the end. So yeah, this book had me crying a lot. Because I have definitely gone through a lot of similar things that our heroine has. Her name is Kat. I don't think I said that before. But he's also trying to train her and help her kind of learn how to use her power. She's one of the most powerful psychics that the archive have ever seen. And he pushes her, but also because he knows, even if he's not going to, like, we hear it from his POV, even if he's not going to use her as his point of revenge anymore to get to Maddox, she still needs to learn how to control her powers, how to protect herself if she's in a situation, and that type of a thing. I also wasn't 100% sure what was going on with the archive people and Sun. It felt a little too antagonistic at times, especially, and it took like 35-ish%, I will say. Sun finally realized the truth. It took 900 years. And I'm like, why did nobody in 900 years even have what if he didn't kill his parents? So I thought that was a little like forced angst. I didn't quite understand that decision that was made by Ella. And then once Sun knew and found out, and like a couple of his specific like warrior council people, then Eric's cousin, who was born after all this happened, but he's like a griffin too, I guess his father was Eric's father's brother, and I guess both brothers loved the mother, but she chose Eric's father. And so when they were killed, his cousin's father just kind of went crazy, it sounded like. I don't know. We didn't quite get enough information in some aspects for me, or it was information I didn't really know. But what I didn't understand is when this cousin and Eric finally are in the same room, he still hates Eric. And I'm like, did Sun not at least tell his council people that, hey, he's not behind his parents' murder anymore? So I don't know. I don't know. It's just, there was quite a few things that were kind of missing from me, but I was still intrigued by the world. And there's some super secret shifter that we don't know who he is, and I'm intrigued by him. The next book comes out in November of this year. It is going to be Sun and like a hacker person named Risk, who I guess is also supposed to be an archive female, but I don't know if she's been triggered or not. But I'm intrigued for their story because I feel like we're not gonna have what I didn't like happening between them, between Eric and Kat, happened between Sun and Risk, hopefully, because they're gonna have a different type of relationship set up. And I also wasn't too keen on the fact that Eric and Risk used to like have booty calls, and he really needs to feed the way that these archive people, they can eat normal food, but they also need blood. And I guess like vampire mythos is like inspired by these archive people. But they drink blood as another form of sustenance to kind of help like fulfill their magic hungers, but then they still need normal food to like fuel their like physical body, if that makes sense. There was also conversation where he's like, we got to eat a lot of high proteins and eggs, and we got to eat a lot of natural sugars and fruit, especially you, because you're psychic, and she hates fruit. And he's just like, you got to eat your fruit because it's good for you and you're draining your body using your psychic powers and stuff. So there were aspects I really liked about this. And when Eric was soft, I really enjoyed it. I also really enjoyed the way that his griffin really just was trying to force Eric constantly to recognize this as our mate and to protect her and to keep his human self from hurting her more. But I wanted more of that from his human self. So it just... So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at 3.5 now that I'm done talking through my thoughts, and now that this clip is very long. But I had a lot of thoughts. Yeah, and I kind of definitely struggled through a good portion of this book. But like I said, I'm super intrigued for the next one. I don't know if I'll pick it up right away at release, but I'll probably check it out at some point and just see. This is, Ella Sheridan is a new author for me. So I am interested to kind of see how she evolves. And now that it seems like this next book, we're going to be in the clan of Archive Warriors because Sun is the prince. Maybe we also won't have that angst plot line happening because they're already all like together. And he's not being separate. Although him and his father are fighting because his father didn't want anything to do with what was happening. And Sun was like, I get you want peace, but we can't ignore a war that's going to be on our doorstep soon because we just want peace. Like, we have to keep people from attacking us and from trying to eradicate us if we want peace. So, I don't know. There'll still probably be angst, but we'll see what happens. As for reading challenges, for Romanceopoly, like I mentioned, this works for my haunted house. So I will do another Romanceopoly roll after I finish filming this clip here. For Gildathon, I use this for ongoing series, even though technically this is the first book, but it's an ongoing series, right? For Read the Season, this works for holiday number 4 for the letter G, and I have officially finished holiday number 4, which is fun. So I have 5, 6, and 7 left. For Feels Like Summer, I use this for a new to you author, and for the Ripped Bodice Summer Bingo, I use this for vigilante shit. And then for Once Upon a Readathon, this just hit the base goal of 100 points, which is read a book, you get 100 points. So, moving on, let's talk about the next book I finished. So last night after finishing that, I was still kind of in a funky head mood. And I was like, I need something that will kind of knock me out of this. And so I was thinking of going cozy with historical, but I was like, no, I need something that I know will be good, that will be more fun and exciting and still give me those fantasy vibes that I was wanting. So I was looking at my Kindle and I was like, yep, I knew I gotta count on my girl Alessa. So I picked up Elf Shot by Alessa Thorne. Finished it today when I got home from work. I had like 44 minutes according to my Kindle left on it. This is book 3 in her Ironwood series, which is a part of her Big Fae Universe series, but Ironwood spun off of Wrath of the Fae. I gave this 5 stars. I gave this 5 stars. And what's interesting is this is Layla's book, and Layla has a lot of self-esteem issues as well. She feels like in her family, like Charlotte's the one who's really good at magic, and Braun's the really good hunter, and like everybody has their like niche, and she's just kind of really good at backup, and she's really good at just like doing, like being forced and willing to do the things that other people don't want to do, and so she kind of gets left with all the crap jobs a lot. But she also talks about how, like, when she does stand up for herself, she gets incredibly nauseous, and it's hard for her to really kind of stand up for herself, especially with her family. But we have seen her kind of have this flirtation with, oh my gosh, I just totally lost his name. How did I lose his name? It's because it's really close. It's not Eric. It also starts with an A. But he is the Prince of the Elves. So, like, think Lord of the Ring elves, and then we have the Fae. And he, at the end of the previous book, was like, you speak Elvish, and we need somebody to be, like, the emissary for your brothers-in-laws and the Ironwood family and the Great Drake family for this big communal meeting of the dwarves and the light elves and the dark elves, and he's from the light elves. And she turns him down because they find out that he is the father of one of Morrigan's 3 like big bad generals, and of Vili. Who is the brother of Odin. I'm going to go with what we know as, or what I know him as, is Odin. They go by one of his more Norse names in this. I think it's Havi, I think is what it was. But she kind of gets roped into being the emissary because he goes to her mother to sign a contract with the Ironwood family, and Arn, A-R-N-E, Arn, But I loved Layla, and this gave me what I wanted from Kat. And while their life situation wasn't exactly the same, they both had very similar self-esteem issues within themselves. But I loved the way that where Arn here saw her self-esteem issues, he built her up instead of using them against her for his own, what he thought benefit. So this was exactly what I needed, unknowingly, or maybe subconsciously knowing me, or my mom being like from the ether, like, no, you need to read this one to make you feel better. I love this. Layla is obsessed with Lord of the Rings. And so she's always had a thing with elves. And Lord of the Rings has always been her place that she can escape to find her peace in her life. And we had found out this before, but Arn recognizes Layla as his fated mate. And it's like the same thing in the previous book where like Imogen always felt like death was coming after her. And it was, you know, because she's Arwen, the death god's fated mate. But here, Layla just always felt like the elves were her home and her safe space, and specifically like Lord of the Rings elves. But for her fated mate to then be an elf, I'm just like, I love this, and I love it. And I love Alyssa Thorne, and this gave me everything I could want and even more. And Layla is a badass in her own right. And I just love how her and Arn build up on each other so much, and just they recognize the mates. They don't rush into it too much, but at the same time, she's like, I'm not just gonna push you away. She's like, let's take it slow, because I don't feel like I'm good enough to be your mate and to then become the princess of the Light Elves. She's like, I'm not a princess. And so he is like, it's gonna be you. It's always gonna be you. But okay, we can take our time. Like, I loved it. I loved them. And we get even more confirmation that it seems like Sierra, the Ironwood cousin, who is the wolf slayer, is gonna be paired with Tor, who is like the big bad werewolf, who is like the guard, and he's Arn's bodyguard, and he's the head of the, oh my gosh, what are they called them? The Ulfen Guard? We've got a lot of like Norse and Scandinavia and Celtic, and I love Alyssa Thorne, and I love these series, and these are my happy space. And I really want to pick up the next book, which is the final book in this specific series. She has started the next spin-off, which is the Lost Fae Kings, I think is what they're called. And there's going to be 3 of those. The first 2 are out. I think she has finished writing the 3rd one. The first one is The Forest King, Dance with the Forest King, Dance of the Forest King, Dance something, Forest King. The second one is Song of the Sea King. And the 3rd one, I don't know what exactly is going on, except for, I don't know title or anything, except for he's a dragon. And if I know Alyssa Thorne, when she says, oh, it'll probably be out in August, we'll probably see it like the end of June, because she always gets so excited and just chaotically releases things when she can't hold on to them anymore, and they're just done and ready to go. So I know I've talked about her a lot, especially lately, because I've finally been kind of binging through some of her books, but I really just highly recommend Alyssa Thorne. I love this. I love her fantasy. I love her paranormal series. And she is one of, like, every book I read just ticks her higher up my list as a favorite author, as a cozy author, as an author I know. Even if I don't know, like, I try to go into her books as blind as I can be, just knowing what's happened in previous books. Now that I'm, like, fully on board the Alyssa Thorne hype train. But at the same time, I know going in, she's going to give us some steam. It's not overly steamy, but we're going to get some steam. We're going to get, like, faded or them not really pushing against each other quite as much. I mean, sometimes they do push against each other, but there's never that unnecessary pushing away each other as a way to hurt each other. At least the books I've read before. I haven't gotten through her backlist completely, but I feel like because she is a romance author herself or a reader herself, and I just love the way she writes. The way that she writes her books just hit me just right, and it's everything I could want in a romance, a quicker romance. I feel like most of her books are in the 200 range. I just love them. So please, please, please read Alessa Thorne if you haven't. If you want more information, definitely let me know. I started out, because I found her pretty early on in her career, I started out with her Court of the Underworld series, which was the only series that was out at the time, which is her Greek retellings with Hades and his Court of the Underworld. I still need to finish it. Then she had the spin-off of the Egyptian gods, which I still need to finish, but those ones I haven't picked up because I'm saving those for a rainy day. Then we've got this whole universe, the Fae universe she's creating. And then she has her Mercenaries and Magic series, which is more of a paranormal, contemporary, romantic, suspensey zone. She's writing a gargoyle book soon. She was talking about that. She has so many plans. I highly recommend, if you've read her books but you haven't signed up for her newsletter, sign up for her newsletter. She gives so many spoilers and hints, and just she's like straight up letting you know what she wants to write. I know she has plans to do a Roman goddess spin-off in the gods universe ones, and she geeks out and she nerds out over the same things that I nerd out over, like Assassin's Creed video games, mythology, history. And so when she brings those into her romance books, it's like catnip for me, and it's like my favorite things. I mean, I am known to have a National Geographic history like binge marathon fest when I cannot sleep late at night. I will find some National Geographic show that I try to look for ones I haven't watched that are history based, and I'll watch 4 or 5 episodes until I fall asleep. And that's what I do, because I've always loved those types of shows and history, and yeah. So this is an Alessa Thorne gush fest, and I love her to pieces, and I love her books to pieces, and I really, 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 really want to pick up Luna Curse next, which is the 4th book in the series, but I also don't want it to end. But I'm very excited because there is a pretty big epilogue cliffhanger teasing Sierra and Tor, so I don't know, we'll see. I might have to switch gears a little bit now that I am in a better reading headspace, but let me move on because I am talking forever. So for Elfshot, for Gildathon, I use this for Hearth and Home, which is read a book that gives you cozy feelings. For Read the Season, I applied this to holiday number 5 for the letter I for the series name, Ironwood. For Feels Like Summer, I use this for read a book released in August. It did not have a year qualification, so this came out in August of 2022. Ripped Bodice, Summer Bingo, not Spring Bingo, Summer Bingo. I use this for grazing hands gently because there are quite a few times where Arn and I just lost her name, Layla, graze hands or just brush their hands as like a sign of like support and just being near each other, not being able to resist not touching each other. And every time it happened, I was like, if nothing else, if this doesn't work for anything else, I can use it for the grazing hands prompt in Ripped Bodice. So I love that. And then for Once Upon a Readathon, I also just got the straight 100 points for this, but yeah, there's that. Okay, so I finished that tonight. So I don't know 100% what my next physical book I'm going to be picking up is. However, on Saturday, we have one more book to talk about. And on Saturday, when I was trying to work on some projects before I kind of had my mental breakdown, or I guess it was more of an emotional breakdown, but same thing, right? I wanted an audiobook and I kind of went hog wild and I decided, okay, that's weird. I just got a really weird hiccup. I picked up Love Sucks by Cynthia St. Aubin. This is the second book in her Tales from the Alpha Art Gallery series, something like that. I am currently at 36 and 58 seconds left in this book, so 93%. I probably will finish it tonight if I can, or finish it tomorrow in the morning while getting ready for work instead of listening to a podcast or something. But I'm having fun. The humor in this is great. I'm loving Hannah. I will have to say I was a little disappointed. We see her sleep with the cop Morrison again. Detective, I think is his title. I was forgiving about it happening in the first book, but they sleep together again in this book, and I was just like, really? Really? Like, at this point, just give it to me closed door if we're gonna see her sleep with somebody who's not Mark. But then we did get some, not full penetration, but we did get some steam with Hannah and Mark near the end of the book because I'm near the end of the book. And so we have gotten some steamy scenes between them, but they haven't gone all the way yet. So we have, he still was hiding a lot of information from her that she was wanting to know about werewolves. We also get her and a couple other werewolves have been receiving basically like picture forms of death threats against them. And Mark ends up kind of leaving her a couple different times in like different hotel rooms, or they're supposed to go somewhere, and he ends up leaving early, and then she has to find her way home. So once again, he's leaving her alone. There is one moment where she brings it up to him, and she's just like, I don't like it when you leave me alone. She's clearly having feelings for him, and he is definitely flirting back, but at some point he leaves and he goes to London. And once again, this is set in Colorado. So this is set, I think, in Georgetown. So small mountain town kind of up above Golden, which is kind of on the west side of Denver, up against the mountains-ish. But so she tracks him down in London, and then Oscar Wilde, I guess, is a vampire and attacks her and is trying to kill her. And then Mark finally pops up and he ends up saving her. And then now that they're kind of back together, they kind of can't help each other, and they kind of can't help staying away from each other because she definitely lost a lot of blood. And Alan had given her some of his blood, who is, I think, a tailor. And also a werewolf. So her wolfy genes are a little more present. We find out that she is a werewolf, but she's a recessive werewolf. So what needs to happen is for her to mate with an alpha male, and that will basically turn her into a werewolf. If she sleeps with, has full-on sex with a werewolf, that will trigger her changing into a werewolf, I guess. So I don't really understand the qualifiers for it being an alpha, but, so there's that. She can sleep with a human or another recessive werewolf, and that won't trigger her change or anything like that, but her and Mark are endgame. Her and Mark have to be endgame. So I'm a little kind of frustrated that we're still pushing each other away a little bit, and but they're finally kind of coming together, and they're starting to become an item right now. And I'm just hoping that when we reach the end of this book, it won't be her still kind of being set aside. But she is still learning more information, but he still isn't completely open with her with everything when she asks questions. And so that's still a little bit frustrating. So we'll see. But it's probably going to be a 4-star or a 4.5 star. It was sitting, I was like, I think I might have to talk it down to a full 4-star. But then we had some steamy times with Mark, and I was like, okay, I can let it slide again. It also seems like Detective Morrison is now also kind of losing his mind. So hopefully we are done with him. But, you know, once again, the humor is just hitting me just right, and I'm cracking up listening to it, and it's just such a fun series. I do know it is a 4-book series, and it is Mark and Hannah the entire time. But for me, when I read a multi-book series based around one couple, I do prefer them to be together earlier on than later, and just seeing them really, you know, I want them to be firm together in book 3. And then book 4 is just them as a complete meshed team dealing with whatever is happening in the 4th book. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what I prefer when we see long-running couple series like this. I mean, think like Cat and Bones. Cat and Bones are together pretty early on. Yes, they break off a couple of times, but they are like pretty solidly enmeshed with each other. Cat and Curran from Kate Daniels. Like once, I don't know why I called her Cat, Kate and Curran. And once they're together, they are together. And I don't know. That's just what I prefer for longer running series set around the same couple. So we'll see what happens. But if anything, the humor and just the lightness and funness of the series is still doing it for me. So I think even if I don't quite get what I want from the romance, it still, I think, would be a 3.5, if not a 4-star. Just because I think the writing and the humor and everything else is fun. But we'll see how it ends. Like I said, there's like 36 minutes left in it for me. So, there is that. Now, really quickly, I did place a thrift books order not too long ago. Because I had some books that were expiring, and I was like, crap. So I did an order to try to get, I had a couple of free books, and then I got enough books to get me to the $12, $10, whatever it is, free shipping. So I'm just going to show you what I got real quick so I can stick them on my shelves. So I did get a couple of Teresa Medeiros books. So I did, everything I ordered in very good condition. That was a part of their deals, because the more you bought, the more discount you got. So after midnight, and I am lucky, it came with this gorgeous step bag, and I have read this. I super loved it. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. So I have read both books in this duology, so I'm super excited to finally get this one on my cover. This is historical paranormal romance. And then I also got One Night of Scandal, which is really pretty and shiny. And this one also thankfully came with the step bag. And look at this one. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. It is so gorgeous. So another great, this one I haven't read yet. This is the second book. I think it's in the Farley sisters or something like that. But I'm excited to read that one. And then unfortunately, I also got Thief of Hearts, which is a standalone, and it's a fake step back. So I definitely will keep my eye out to get the step back version of this one. But at least I have it in paperback so I can read it when I'm in the mood to. And then once I find a step back copy, I'll probably just sell this back to my used bookstore or something like that. So I got those 3 Teresa Medeiros books. And then I also got the next 3 books that I have to own in Deborah Cook's Dragonfire series. And so I've got, what are these? So I have book 5, which is Whisper Kiss. I do have the first 4 books in paperback already. I've read the first 2. Maybe I've read the first 3, but I really enjoyed them. I'm a big fan of Deborah Cook. So these are Dragon series. So that's book, what did I say, 5? And then book 6, which is Darkfire Kiss. And then I got book 7, which is Flashfire. So I think there's 10 or 11 books in this series, but I was thinking about just going a little bit above and beyond and just finishing out this series, but they didn't have any that were in very good condition or part of the deal, so I was like, I'll just stop there for now. So there are those. I got those, which is super fun, so I gotta work those into my shelves. So I think I'm going to stop there. I'm going to clear off my coffee table, get my Romanceopoly board set up, and then we will do my Romanceopoly rolls really quick. So I will be right back. Okay, so here is the board. We are on Haunted House. And then I need to get these, so. Alrighty, so here are our cards of where we're at. So let's just get to it. So I will roll. So 9 total. So we are on Journey's End, which is a yellow. Okay. So, Journey's End is, if you're doing the normal genre prompt, it's fantasy, but the more specific prompt is read a fantasy with a cover that takes your breath away. And you know what? Technically, my previous one was for Griffin Undone, so I'm going to apply this to Elf Shot. So, I'm going to make a note that we rolled a 9. Whoop. And it's 6, 5. Okay. So we are at Journey's End. Okay. Oh. Okay, so we're gonna just keep going forward because I can apply this if we're super lucky. The next one will work for Love Sucks. And then we can go from there, which is great. So this is 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sci-fi, Outer Space. Okay, so I don't believe we've done this one yet. No, we have not. So this is our, we have done the other blue one. So here is Outer Space. So once again, generic genre prompt is sci-fi, but the specific one is read a sci-fi with the Mars needs women trope. So, I mean, that is super easy to find in sci-fi romances. So, even though I have plans to pick up something else, I might lean towards an alien romance because those are super quick, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so we're going to leave it at that. We at least got 2 rolls done, which is super great. So I'm glad that we were able to complete 2 prompts today and get our next one going. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you have a great Tuesday, and I will see you all tomorrow. Hello, happy Wednesday. And happy birthday to myself. It is my birthday. So, I did not film last night because I came home and I pretty much crashed and I just read. I did start a book yesterday before work because I got up super early. And then when I got home, I edited a video and got that exporting. And then I was like, I just want to sit and read. And I was exhausted. I had a massive amount of UPS yesterday. UPS alone brought 12 boxes. Medium to ginormous size boxes. Then we had FedEx, and then one of our local distributors brought up what is equivalent to like 2 or 3 large boxes. So I was doing just specifically putting away parts from like 11:30, and I finally sat down at my desk at like 3:30, and then I had to check them all into our inventory system. So I was just mentally exhausted yesterday after all of that. So, we have some catch up to do. Oh, I did want to say, like I mentioned, today is my birthday. My boss was super sweet and got me this birthday sash, but I did not wear it at work. I put it on when we did like cake and candles, but I'm very much, I don't want to be attention. I don't want the attention, but I figured I would put it on and film my clip. I just didn't want random people customers that I would have had to deal with all day. I don't know. I just don't want to be the center of attention, and I don't really know how you're supposed to wear this. I feel like it's not sitting right, but okay, it's on. We're gonna count it. And so yeah, and now it's all funky. So let me, I don't know. How do I do this? You can tell I was never a pageant type person. Okay. Let's do the quest calendar, because we have 2 days to do, and then we will talk about books. So where I last left you on Monday was we were leveling up. So I did get my character all leveled up, so we can just move on. So, ooh, okay, just in time. That's gonna be fun to fight. I mean, it's cool artwork, but oh my gosh, it's creepy. Okay, so, all right. A terrifying monster, yes, breaks through the door into the lab. Its many tentacles swarm the room to try and strangle you. Okay, fun. So, we are going to have dexterity roll, so probably to avoid the tentacles, and then attack and damage, and this will last 4 or 3 rounds as per this chart. So, let's just get into it. If you have free specimen noted down from an earlier page, we do not. Okay, so we don't have to worry about those notes. All right, so let's just get into it. Yeah, so dexterity roll is first. We need a 9 or less, and then we are restrained, which means we cannot attack. So we will have to do a dexterity, then and then if we move forward, we get a 10 or more, then we can do our attack followed by our damage. So our dexterity is a +4, our attack is a +6, and our damage is 2d12 +2. So let's just get into it. Okay, so that is a 19. So we are good for our dexterity. So attacking, that is a 10 and +6. So we are at 16 to hit on round 1. Okay, if you're restrained and your attack roll is 15 or more, ooh, just barely, you hit. Okay, so 2d12. Okay, so 7 and 11, so 18, 19, 20 total damage. Okay, so if you're hitting, your damage roll is 8 or more, the enemy is stunned. Perfect. So on to round number 2. So dexterity is first, and that is 11 on the die, so we are good. And attacking is an 11 again. Crazy. So 17 total to hit. And once again, we needed 15 or more, so we are good there. So damage. All right. That is a 10 and a 7. So 17, 18, 19 total damage. Okay. Well, it says 510, which is undoable. So I'm guessing that's either a typo for 5 or a typo for 10. But we're at 19, so we're good either way. So I'm going to say he's stunned. And that is not supposed to be 510. It's okay. I feel like we've only hit one other typo, so, you know, good on them. And our final dexterity roll is a natural 20. So that's fun. Perfect. We were like, no, get those tentacles away from me, sir. And that is a 9 to attack, so 15. Oh, that's what we needed, 15. How quickly I forget. Okay, oh, and I don't know why I'm rolling my d20 again. So yeah, the final round is 15 or more once again. So damage is 7 again. Every single time we've rolled a 7 in our pairings, which is funky. And ooh, 12 max. So that is 19 plus 2. So 21 total damage for round 3. Okay, if you hit and your damage roll is 9 or more, the enemy is stunned. If you dealt a total of 20 damage or more, you defeated the enemy. We did like 20 damage 2 of the 3 rounds, but okay. So collect 1 credit for each round you stun the enemy. So we get all 3 credits, and then collect 3 additional credits if you defeated the enemy. So that's a total of 6 credits for defeating this dude. Oh my gosh, I just threw that on the floor. Okay, so that was yesterday's guy. So let's see what today is. Ooh, okay, it looks like some sort of motor security system thing. As you escape down a hallway, a set of sentry drones begin beeping. One appears to be damaged, but mostly operational. You hear a buzz of a mechanical noise as the security guns spin around to fire at you. Great. So this will be 1 attack and 1 damage roll for each of the 2 sentries. So another combat page. Alrighty, so, alright, just straight attack roll. Alright, so once again, our attack is a +6, and that is a 19, so 25 to hit. Okay, and on this one, if your attack roll is 17 or more, you hit. So damage is an 8 plus a 7, so 17 total with our +2. So if your damage roll is 8 or more, the sentry is destroyed. Perfect. On to sentry number 2. To attack, that is an 11, so 17 to hit. And on sentry number 2, we needed 16 or more, so we do manage to hit him. So damage is a 2 plus that is a 6, not a 9. So that's 8 plus our +2, so 10 total damage on sentry number 2. And if you hit and your damage roll is 10 or more, oh wow, we just did enough to destroy sentry number 2. So collect 1 credit for each sentry you destroyed. So another 2 credits there, and that is that for the quest calendar. So that's actually not too bad. So total for the 2 days, what was it? 6, and then another 2. So 8 more credits. Hey, hey, hey. We are up to 271 credits. We need some stuff that I actually like want to buy because we're doing okay. All right, there's that. Now, as for reading, when did I last update you? On Monday. So Monday night, I did manage to finish Love Sucks by Cynthia St. Aubin. And so it was still kind of sitting at a 4. And then we got to the big hurrah and like the big kind of ish cliffhanger surprise endings type situation that was happening. And I was completely flabbergasted on how everything went down. Once again, we kind of got a little bit of a plot twist. I don't want to spoil it, but I was surprised. And then I was surprised about what we learn about there is some history and some going ons between Abernathy, aka Mark, and Hannah. He knows her family, which, I mean, does kind of ish make sense because there was kind of hints, but we got the full hints. We got the full explanation finally. He finally kind of stopped hiding some things from her. And the revelation that happened at the very end, I was just like, oh my God, I was so excited. And yeah, so I definitely want to continue in the series. I believe I upped it to 4.5 stars. I was still a little salty that we saw her have sex with Morrison again. And then Abernathy did kind of push her away a little bit still. But let me tell you, if she sleeps with Morrison in the next book, I'm going to be not happy. I don't even remember what I rated it. It was just 2 days ago. It hasn't even been a full 48 hours, and already I'm like, I don't know. Love sex. Okay, yeah, I did give it 4.5 stars. So yeah, I thought it was super fun. The audiobook, once again, was really great. I think if I have some extra kind of checkouts, or I can kind of go do some more mood reading and go willy-nilly, I might pick up the next couple books. I definitely want to finish it this summer, and I don't want to put it off too long because I want to still try to retain as much information as I can before we go into book 3. As for reading challenges, for Gildathon, I applied this for Combustion, which is, it has a twist or a surprise, which this definitely had both. For Read the Season, I applied this to holiday number 7 for the letter T, and that's for the name of the series, which is Tales from the Alpha Art Gallery. For Feels Like Summer, I applied this to Read a Friend's Recommendation. This series was rec to me. And for Once Upon a Readathon, this just hit the base goal of read a book for 100 points. So there is that. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this book because I am doing, if you saw my June TBR, if not, I will pop it up there. But I am doing a secret, not so secret reading vlog this month for my favorite romance trope. And so I wanted to kind of get going on that. My plan is to read 3, maybe 4 books for it, depending on if I'm still in the mood, how long my clips get, and all of that, because sometimes I do really long clips, which you probably know. But yesterday morning before work, I got up super early and I had some time, so I picked up Kissing My Brother's Bride by Molly McLean. So I'm going to be talking about this during that dedicated reading vlog, like I mentioned. And then when I got home from work, I finished it. I got like 10% in the morning, and then I finished it last night because I could not put it down. So if that gives you a hint, it probably has a pretty high rating. But I'm just going to say this was a new author. I'm intrigued to read other books by this author, and I'm very interested to see what the rest of the books in the series are. This is a, I think, 5 or 6 book series by, each book is by multiple authors. They're all being released like 2 weeks apart from each other. So book number 2 will come out, I think, on the 15th of June. And in this book, I'll give you a basic premise of it. We have Audrey and Liam, and Audrey is pretty much left at the altar. Her fiance never shows up, who is Liam's brother, to their destination wedding in Florida, and so they don't end up getting married. And so this is Audrey and Liam's book. All of the other books focus on either members of the groom's side of the party or the bridal party. So basically it's all of the family and friends of Liam, Lincoln, who's the ex-fiance, and Audrey. So it's all kind of interconnected. I did look to see who the books were, and the second book is going to be Audrey's sister, Charlie, or Charlotte, and she kind of has this antagonistic thing happening with one of Lincoln's groomsmen who, I don't know, he's kind of one of those cocky playboy type dudes. And so I'm interested in that. I think one of the later books is one of the bridesmaids and a bartender at this resort, and she has some sort of something with her father. She has to kind of escape from her father at times, so I don't know what exactly the situation is there. And then it also seems like Liam's good friend and fellow firefighter might be with and his roommate is, I think, is with Amara. And Amara was a bridesmaid, but I think she's Lincoln and Liam's cousin. So she's related to the West family. But she's also good friends with Audrey, and so she was a bridesmaid. And so I think she gets paired up with Ty. And maybe there's another person, and then there's one book that hasn't been announced yet. So I'm excited for the rest of the series, and they're all, like I said, they're all releasing 2 weeks apart. So this one came out June 1st, and book 2 is going to be out June 15th, and they are all at least supposed to release on KU. So, that's more than I planned on saying, but I mostly talked about the series in whole. But I will tell you what challenges I applied this to. So for Gildathon, I used this for an ongoing series because this is the only book that is released so far. For Read the Season, I applied this to the letter M for holiday number 6. This is book 60 that I have applied to Read the Season. The grand total is either 73 or 76. I can't remember. So we're getting close. It goes till June 20th. I don't know if I'm gonna hit extreme level and finish all of the holidays, but I want to try to finish as many holidays as I can. I have a couple holidays that only need... So holiday 6, I only need to read 2 more books. One of them I have in my early this month TBR, and then for holiday 5... 3, 4. I have 4 books. I have 4 letters left in holiday 5. 3 of those I already have kind of dolled out. I kind of keep notes to see where I'm going at. And then holiday 7, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9. 2 of those are kind of already penciled in. So I'm going to try to get through holiday 6 and maybe holiday 5, and then we'll see if I start picking up some more audiobooks or something like that. Maybe I'll be able to get through holiday 7 as well, but I don't know what'll happen there. So we shall see. As for my summer challenges for Feels Like Summer, I use this for Set in Summer because the wedding that's supposed to happen starts in June, and that's pretty much at the beginning of the book, and then it lasts a few months. So I think we end up kind of in the fall area, but the book kicks off in June. And then for Ripped Bodice Summer Bingo, I used this. So this one I kind of had to finagle in. But I used this one for a bachelor or bachelorette party because there is a joke made while all of the groomsmen are hanging out and they're staying up because Lincoln had said he's on his way. He's going to be there in a few hours. And so the groomsmen were all kind of staying up to wait for him to make sure he made it in safely. And they were all like drinking and hanging out. And they were like, well, I guess it's the bachelorette party, even though the groom's not here. So they kind of had a bachelor party or not. Yeah, bachelor, not bachelorette. So because they called it their bachelor party, I'm going to count it. And then for Once Upon a Readathon, once again, this also just worked for the 100-point base minimum thing. So there are that for books. Another thing that happened yesterday, because I was like so out of it mentally, I swore all day it was Wednesday. I just kept being, I was like freaking out on my boss, and I was like, oh my gosh, do I have to get this other additional order in to get it so that our people can make sure that they get it for delivery? And my boss was like, are they delivering on Thursday and not Friday? And I was like, well, no, but I was like, we have to get our order in by Wednesday at noon, and we usually end up with a little add-on to see if they can bring it in if it's not too much. And she's just like, it's Tuesday. And I was like, it's Tuesday? What? So I don't, it's just, yesterday was just a day, guys. Okay. So as for what I'm going to read next, I think I'm going to make a little bit of a switch, and I'm going to go to historical, and I'm also going to talk about this on my favorite trope vlog, but I think I'm going to pick up How to Deceive a Duke by Alicia Cornwall. This is the first book in her, I think it's the Timberley series, something like that. I don't know if it says in here. It's the first book in the series that this book is the first in. I think it's the Timberley because that's the last name. This is the Duke of Timberley, but maybe not. Maybe I'm making stuff up. But yeah, so I'm excited. This has been on my shelves for a while. I think this is from like 2011 or something. So it's an older historical, but this is kind of my sweet spot. 2012. This is kind of my sweet spot in historical romance publishing. Like the early to mid 2010s is kind of like my go-to for historicals. So I'm excited. This is also a new author to me. And don't mind me while I am choking on air here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to watch the Nuggets game. Game 3 is tonight for the NBA Finals. But then the other small little bookish news I have is I got my paperback copy of Lore Olympus. So this is volume 4 today. So I'm super excited. But when this came, I also got kind of angry because I really struggle with Barnes & Noble. I was actually listening to a podcast of Bookcase and Coffee, or Buzzing About Romance is the podcast name recently. And they were kind of mentioning how, you know, Barnes & Noble used to be like the devil of bookstores. I was always a Borders girl. I never liked Barnes & Noble. I always had issues with them, even growing up. But she specifically was talking about how, you know, it was a big deal. Like Barnes & Noble used to be how people talk about Amazon. Like they're running all of these small bookstores, these mom and pop bookstore shops out of business. And because they're this big corporation. And then they kind of pushed Borders out of business, which made me really sad. And now everybody's like, we got to go to Barnes & Noble. And I don't think I've set foot in a Barnes & Noble in a very long time. The only thing I really try to order from Barnes & Noble anymore is their special edition books. I just have other options, other online options that offer price matching for new releases. And I had the hardcover special edition from Barnes & Noble pre-ordered for this during their last big pre-order, 25% off pre-order sale. And then I just threw on a couple other books. Well, at that point, I don't know. I either misunderstood or I thought they were Barnes & Noble exclusives, so they were marked. Because I think what I did is when the pre-order sale happened, I tried to look for Barnes & Noble exclusive editions that I could pre-order. And volume 5 wasn't up for pre-order yet. And then I found out later, a couple of the books that I pre-ordered weren't Barnes & Noble editions. So I was like, okay. So I contacted them and I was like, I want to cancel these 2 books from this order. And the lady canceled everything. And I was just like, what do you mean you canceled everything? I was like, I specifically asked if I could cancel these 2 books. And she goes, well, we can't do that. We just can cancel the whole order. If you can cancel a book or not, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. But I was just like, I was just like, are you kidding me? Well, can you uncancel it now? And I was like, I'll just keep it if I can't just cancel these 2 books. And she goes, no, I already canceled it. I was like, you couldn't give me any confirmation, any clarification. I am canceling the whole order. This is what you want, correct? So I try to be nice to customer service people, but I was kind of frustrated. And I was like, I needed a confirmation of what was going to happen before you did it. I needed I cannot cancel just these 2 books. I can only cancel your whole order. Would you like me to move forward? Like, because I very specifically, in the little thing, was like, I would like to cancel this book title and this book title from this order. Thank you. And so she canceled it all. And they haven't had a new pre-order sale. So maybe I'll go to my local Barnes & Noble if I'm ever on that side of town and just get the hardcover of this. But I'm kind of disappointed. And hopefully they will have another pre-order sale before the next edition the next edition comes out. But I like to get things on sale when I can, because sometimes books are expensive and I don't need the hardcover edition too. But I have the special editions and then I get the paperback for the normal editions. And I have both versions of the first 3 volumes, and now just this one for this volume. Never mind the fact that it bothers me that they don't offer price matching, which, okay, fine, whatever. But they can never get books shipped out on time, so you get them at least within a few days of release. I'm not a fan of Barnes & Noble. And I wish that there were other ways you can get their exclusive editions through somebody else that wasn't hiking up the costs, because I get frustrated, as you can tell. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling you. I just had to get it off my chest, because I kind of tried to push it away when it happened because I was just so upset. I was like, whatever. There's nothing I can do now. And then when this came today, it all came back into the forefront of my mind. So yeah. All right. I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. There's only 2 days left. So hopefully I will see you tomorrow. At the very least, I'll see you Friday. So have a great night. Oh, and if you were wondering what I was going to be doing the rest of my evening after the Broncos game, no, it is not football season. The Nuggets game, I'm probably going to take a bath and then have a glass of wine and read the rest of the night. So nothing too fun for my birthday, but you know what? That's what I want to do. So we're going to leave it at that. Hello. Happy Friday. Not too long ago, I just got done watching the Nuggets game. The Nuggets won. They are up 3-1. So Monday night, if they win, it'll be their first championship and they'll be at home. So here's hoping the Nuggets pull it out. I'm pretty excited for them. Yeah, so yesterday I went to bed kind of early again. Wednesday night I said I was gonna like take a bath and do stuff, and I just went to bed early. I took a shower and then I was like, I'm just gonna go to bed. So we have Quest Calendar to catch up on, and then we will go from there. Not too much has happened book-wise, so this shouldn't be too bad of a final clip. So where I last left you on the Quest Calendar, Wednesday we were dealing with the little robot detector, auto detector things. What do they call them? Security guns. So let's see what yesterday, Thursday would have brought, and then we'll do today's. Oh, okay. So it looks like we have another map. You hear a terrifying screeching sound coming from behind you. It is the sound of a creature in pain. The noise grows louder and closer. Okay, well, that's not good. All right, so typical thing for a map, begin at the X, navigate around the lab, visit each numbered room along your path, explore and resolve each room before you visit, or choose your next. So we are the X. There we go. So we are down here. So we don't really get an option. That doesn't, I guess that is a doorway. It's not like a full door, but maybe it's like a sliding automatic door. So this little opening, so this is to this room. This is that a 2 or a 5? That's a 5. So we'll come in here and we'll do room 5 first. And then it looks like the next open doorway would be going into here, room 4. So then we're up here into room 2, and then we'll look at room 3 and 1. So that's the order we will go through. And let's see what happens. So that first doorway is room 5. Okay. This lab has massive specimen containment units lining the walls. Many of the holding cells are filled with deceased creatures, mutated and altered with genetic and cybernetic enhancements. At least 3 of the containment tubes have been broken open, and their inhabitants are nowhere to be found. You hear a growl from behind you. Great! So creature number 1. So we have to make an attack roll. And our attack is a +6, and that is an 11, so 17. Okay, we needed a 13 or more to hit, so our damage is 2d12 plus 2, so 6 and 4, so 10, 11, 12 total damage. Okay, and our damage roll was 5 or more, so this creature is dead. Cool. Okay, so moving on to room number 4. You enter a massive storage room with rows of shelves containing boxes, bags, and test tubes of various samples and materials. The room is relatively untouched compared to the destruction that you've seen throughout the rest of the facility, save for 1 jar of glowing purple ooze. So wisdom roll reminder, Arcane Adept. So we do have Arcane Adept, which gives us a +2, and our wisdom is +4. So total of +6. And that is a 16. So 22. Okay, if the result is 12 or more, getting near the ooze causes you to become uncomfortable, but you fight the feeling and press on. Okay. All right. So then into that big main room, which is room number 2. A large and enclosed testing chamber is at the center of the room with desks and chairs set around it to make observations. Claw marks mar the glass, but there is only a leash on the inside. Okay, so then we'll go up to room number 3. You find a long hallway with an exit sign pointing to a doorway. You may continue exploring this level of the facility and return here once you are done. Okay, so that is where our ending goal is, room number 3. So we'll check out room number 1, which is the final one we have. This room is a lab with rows of tall work tables filled with computer terminals, beakers, and various other pieces of equipment. The place is trashed with broken glass and stains of blood and other unknown liquids on the walls and floor. Constitution roll. Okay, we are at a +1. And that is a 19. Okay, cool. So 20 total. If the result is 12 or more, the smell is awful and you move out of the room quickly. Okay, so there's that. And that's done. Not too bad, not too bad. So once again, just to kind of reiterate, so we went into here and this is where we were attacked by that creature where a bunch of the, it looks like test tubes were. And then this was where that purple ooze was. This is where people were watching at the giant cylindrical thing with a leash inside. This is the hallway with the exit sign. And then this was that last room that we went to where there's blood and stuff on the floor. So let's see what today, Friday, brings. Oh, okay. Another creepy critter. That's so creepy. I don't know if you're going to focus. You continue to move down a long hallway that features a dimly lit exit sign. From a doorway entrance on the side, a shadowy figure steps in your way. The creature is emitting a strange noise that makes it difficult to concentrate. So, there will be 4 rounds, attack, a possible intellect roll, and then a damage roll. So, that's what we are fighting. Great. Okay, so, attack. Let's get going. 19, so 25 to hit. Okay, so we needed a 16 or more to hit. So, we do hit. Okay, so... okay, so now we need to make an intellect roll of 10 or more to avoid becoming confused. And confused is reroll your damage, take the new result if it's smaller. So you take the smaller result of the 2 damage rolls. So that is a 15. Our intellect is a +1. So 16 total. So we're over the 10 or more. So we just do damage as normal. So 2d12 +2, so 5 and 7, so 12, so 14 total damage. And for round 1 we needed 8 or more to stun the creature. So on to round number 2. Rolling. That's crooked. I'm gonna move things and re-roll it. Okay, so that is a 10, so we are at 16. Ooh, that's what we needed. Okay. All right. And damage 11. Wow. That was a big hit. And 8. So 19. So 21 total damage on... Oh, hold on. I forgot our intellect roll. That's an 18 on the die, so we're good. So 21 damage. It is stunned once again. For round 2, we needed 9 or more. So on to round number 3. Okay, so that is an 8 on the die, which gives a 6. So what is that? 14. So we are just short because once again we need 16 or more. Let me see what we have options for surges. I mean, we could do time step and re-roll. Or reroll any die roll, make an extra attack and damage roll. That's interesting. And then we can also use a surge. Or no, this is just once per page. Take half the damage from a single source rounded down. Okay, well that's cool. So I don't really have anything. I can get a +2 defense for a page if I use a surge, but that's it. So I guess we're stuck doing that unless we want to do our reroll. So you know what? Might as well. We don't have to use it too often, thankfully. So that is an 18 on the die. Perfect. So you know what? I'm okay with that. So we used our time step for the day. So that is over the 16 or more. So now we need to roll our confusion. That is a 13 on the die. So we are fine there. So damage is 10 and 4. So 14, 15, 16 damage for round 3. Okay, and we needed 8 or more to stun it, so stunned once again onto our final round. Round number 4. So, 9 18 plus 6, so 25. We are good. I don't know why my brain just kind of shorted. Intellect is a 13 on the die, so we are good. I think that's what I rolled last time. That's crazy. Now damage. Damage is 10 and 8, so 18, so 20 total damage. For this final one, if you hit and your damage roll is 10 or more, the enemy is stunned once again. Perfect. So if you dealt a total of 30 damage or more, you defeated the enemy. We for sure did. So collect 1 credit for each round you stun the enemy, so that's 4, and then collect 2 additional credits if you defeated it. So we get another 6 credits for defeating this creepy dude. So there is that. As for reading, Wednesday night I did finish How to Deceive a Duke. Once again, I am reading this for a specific trope vlog, so I'm going to talk about it in there, but I got about halfway, just under halfway through Wednesday night. Yesterday I got to about page 309 is what I was at. Yep, I was on page 309 here. So I got through that far, and then during the Nuggets game, I read the rest of it. So I have officially finished this. I'll give you a very brief rundown. This is Meg and Nicholas. Nicholas is the Duke of Temberley. And his grandmother has kind of forced him into arranged marriage because the ducal estate is pretty much bankrupt, and his grandmother has an inheritance, finances that were entailed only to her, so she is kind of helping keep things afloat, and for her to continue to do so until the estate can kind of get things kind of back into earning money. He agrees to this arranged marriage, sight unseen to this bride. The grandmother has decided that Rose is going to be the bride of her grandson, but Rose kind of freaks out and flips out, and she runs away, leaving the second eldest daughter, Meg, to kind of pick up the pieces, and she decides to be the one to step up and take care of her family once again. And so she enters in her sister's place and marries Nicholas. So I'm going to say I give this 2.5 stars, but I rounded it up to 3 on Goodreads. And the only reason I'm rounding it up is because I like Nicholas for the most part. So I'm going to leave it there. If you'd like to check out my thoughts on this, I will have the vlog up hopefully soon. I have at least one more book that I would like to read, if not more, for this vlog. So it will be up mid to late June for sure. So as for reading challenges, I applied this to. For Gildathon, I use this for Andante, which is read a slow burn or a slower paced book, and this definitely kind of felt like it had a slower pace to me. For Read the Season, I applied this to holiday number 5 for the letter H. This didn't work for any of the specific prompts for Feels Like Summer, but this is the 5th book I've read this month, so I hit read 5 books so far. For Ripped Bodice Summer Bingo, I'm applying this to the Fainting Couch prompt. And then for Once Upon a Readathon, I'm just using this. This only counts for like the straight, flat bonus or normal points of just 100 points for reading a book. So, and there is that. I have an idea of when I want to pick up next, but you're just going to have to watch next week's vlog to see what that actually ends up being. So, I think that's all I have for you. So I'm going to leave it at that. Quick update to end things up. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to leave me a comment down below, let me know what your favorite trope is. I think I might try doing, instead of so many readathon vlogs, I might try doing some trope reading vlogs in the future. So let me know if that's interesting to you and what your favorite trope is. If you'd like to just leave me an emoji, leave me something birthday related, since my birthday was a couple days ago and is included in this weekly vlog. But otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon with another video.